So everyone tells you you should start your pension early. And that's not wrong, but it's also not the full picture. Hi, my name is Pascal. I'm a financial advisor in Donegal, and I've been advising people on their finances for well over 30 years at this stage. So when it comes to pensions, different decades should look at different things. And in your 30s right through to your 60s, we're going to break down what you should look at, look for, plan, and the consequences of doing it, and also the consequences of not. In your 30s, it's not about getting rich. It's really about starting and not falling behind. Putting in through good structures, building on habits, automating, and really getting the pension started. So even with a small contribution, even €200 a month, is a great place to start. A couple of other things to look out for is, are you maximising on your employer's contribution? Take your contribution up to where they go max. You're leaving money on the table if you don't. Protect your income would also be a huge thing to do, because you're young, you may have a young family, you may have a mortgage. One slip in terms of health can suddenly derail everything that you're planning to do, including your retirement. So protect your income. Other thing to watch for is, don't mistake mortgage for protection for family protection. So in your 30s, if you have a mortgage, your mortgage protection takes care of the bank if you die, but doesn't take care of your family. So make sure that you understand your protections as well as your pension. So what are the consequences if you don't? Compound interest being the big one. By starting your pension early in your 30s, compound interest is already kicking in. You're protected if anything goes wrong. So make sure that you look at your protections as well as your pensions. If your 30s is the time to lay the foundation, your 40s are the time to build on that. So in your 40s, you're earning more than you've ever done before. The question is, how much of it are you actually keeping? So when it comes to pensions, the first thing is to review your pension. Make sure you understand it. Make sure you understand the company scheme. In your 40s, you may have 2 or 3 pensions, maybe a couple of them that you've left behind. Make sure you get a hold of those and understand them. And in some cases, it might be bring them together, but not always. It's about more understanding them and having a clear line of sight as to what it is. Also, this is where you start to plan. So what age do you actually want to retire, and what does that look like in terms of income? Because what we want to do is retire to, not from. So we want to retire to a third life after our working life. We don't want to run away from work. We need to have something to keep us going, and financially, this is where planning really, really happens. Check on your protections. Again, hugely important. Make sure the foundation of protection is in place. Make sure your income is protected. Make sure your family are protected. And this gives you peace of mind of knowing that should and if something goes wrong, that your pension planning can continue. So what are the consequences if you don't have your planning in place in your 40s? Well, the next decade, you go into your 50s with no planning, and now you're under pressure. Now you have less time to pay for the financial freedom that you want in retirement. You've left tax relief on the table. So each year you either get your tax relief and it's use it or lose it. So if you're not maxing out on your pension contributions, you're leaving tax relief on the table. Not a good thing to do. Take everything you can from the taxman when you're able. What's the consequences if you do? Well, now you're looking into your 60s with a plan, with a target, with understanding. And this is really where you want to come in, because your 50s is really where it matters, and this is the power engine of your pension if it's not done already. Your 50s are where it really gets real. So this is where you need planning. You need to take time. You need to understand what the goal is, what the target is, how much income do you need, when do you need it? Are you retiring at 60? Are you retiring at 68? Are you going to be self-employed and work till you fall out the door? At least if you understand exactly where the target is, this is where planning helps. So in your 50s, the finish line's ahead of you. You can see it. In your 60s is where we really need to knuckle down and get our act together. So you're now in your 60s. You have the work done. So now it becomes, how do you draw on your pension smartly and tax effectively? So this is where you start planning. Well, listen, when are you actually going to stop work? Or at least stop working as hard? It may be, and we have this quite a lot, is we have a lot of people retiring gradually, maybe working 3 days a week instead of 5, maybe working 5 mornings rather than 5 full days. So very few people actually just retire completely out the door, done. And sometimes it can be a scaled retirement where you may even be brought back in as a consultant a couple of days a week. whatever the plan looks like, the point is you've got a plan. So this is where we have to start looking at what is the options to access your pension. Tax-free amount, approved retirement fund options, annuity options. And there isn't one fits all, and we don't advocate a one fits all approach. It needs to be built around you, what your circumstances are, what income you need. And a lot of people make the mistake of spending too much too early and the fund runs out. So when you get later into pension age, into your 70s and 80s, when you may not be able to work even a little bit and you're leaning heavier on your pension planning, this is where good, prudent financial advice in your 60s matters, and not getting too greedy early on and not taking on the world and wanting to do everything all at once, because the money will be needed later in retirement. So what's the consequences of not doing that? In your 60s, you are out of control. You're running into retirement and suddenly now the pressure is on. Now there is a need and possibly a want to retire, but the finances don't allow you. So conversely, the consequences of actually doing it are exactly the opposite. You're in control, you feel in control, and suddenly retiring to something is much more achievable and in view. So again, planning is hugely important. And guys, that's planning pensions over the decades. So guys, that was pension planning through the decades, whistle stop tour. If you need pension advice, if you're confused in any way, if you have multiple pensions and you just want somebody to get a hold of them and understand exactly what you've got, and more importantly, how does that fit into your plan? And it needs to be your plan, not just a plan. We're happy to help. Please get in touch. We're more than happy to help you.